Watch It Again is my show where I try to convince my listeners to watch a movie again that I like, and I'm arrogant enough to think that you would do it. And I have a special guest with me this evening, Gavin Borden. Son, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm looking forward to this, man. And so we were just talking a little bit before we started recording how the last time we saw each other was at the Writers Guild Awards it was in New York. Yeah, in New York. And
That's right.
it was 10 years ago, and man, time has really flown. It felt like it was yesterday. So
The older you get, the faster it goes, and it does seem like yesterday.
yeah,
And the strike was, I think, a couple of years before that we saw each other, and that seems like yesterday. The Writers Guild strike. So, yeah, time flies, man.
Exactly.
Even when you're not having fun like now.
yeah, exactly. But we're both still here, so that's a good thing, right?
That's right.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so this is Watch It Again, and what we're going to talk about this evening is JFK. Now, JFK is a movie that was written and directed by Oliver Stone, and the famous Oliver Stone, Academy Award-winning writer and author, writer and director Oliver Stone, who directed the classic war movie Platoon. What else did he direct? He won an Oscar for Wall Street. Yeah, Wall Street, absolutely. He
directed 3 movies about presidents, which is JFK, Nixon, and then eventually he did W, which was George W. Bush.
He sure did. That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And my first exposure to his work was Midnight Express. He won the Oscar with the screenplay for Midnight Express.
For the screenplay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. So Oliver is a very accomplished filmmaker, and he's carved out a great career for himself. He is a Hollywood legend, and of all his movies, JFK is my absolute favorite film. I absolutely adore this film. I've seen it 1,000 times, and it's in my top 5 favorite films of all time. And I've been effusive in my praise for JFK for many years now, and I've done some podcasts on it previously. And I actually did a Watch It Again podcast on JFK by myself a few weeks ago, but it felt like it was missing something. I felt like I was missing an opinion on this film because it's just me. It was basically just me sucking JFK's dick. Excuse my French. For an hour and a half. And so it's like I think this is a movie that deserves a second opinion and everything. So I wanted someone that I know knows films, and B would be objective. And hey, I thought of you, so that's why I hit you up. So
I'm happy to do it. Yeah, I could go on and on about it, but it's probably better if you ask me questions and I answer, because I talk and talk and talk. So just if I go on a ramble, you just tell me to shut the F up.
So I have a list of 9 topics that we're going to discuss. And that'll kind of keep us on track and everything. But first of all, just a little background about the film. It was released in 1991, and of course JFK covers the assassination of John F. Kennedy, which took place in 1963. There's a lot of conspiracy behind that. We all know we're not going to talk about. This is not a conspiracy conversation, but of course you can't talk about JFK without talking about the conspiracy to kill JFK, which of course. Obviously, Lee Harvey Oswald. Everybody knows that Lee Harvey Oswald is the supposed lone assassin. But if you pay attention to anything, if you do your research, it's almost impossible that Lee Harvey Oswald, if he was involved at all, that he acted alone. So let's start right there.
I agree.
Absolutely. So let's start right there. So what is as far as the conspiracy theory, what's your take on that portion of JFK, be it the movie and or it just in real life? What's your thought about that?
Conspiracy about Oswald as a lone shooter?
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, with the evidence, supposedly, from the movie, from JFK, and from other documentaries, you see that, I think, what was it, 2 FBI sharpshooters tried to do it right after the assassination and couldn't do it with that rifle.
Exactly.
And also that was a mail-ordered rifle. There's lots of strange things about Oswald being the lone shooter. The magic bullet. That doesn't make any. There had to have been more than one shooter. There just doesn't. It's one of those things that I don't know all the facts, of course, but it's one of those things where if someone says to me and says, "Hey, bet your life on something," was Oswald the only shooter? I'd have to say no. I mean, JFK, the third shot was the kill shot. It just doesn't make sense.
Not to mention the fact that back and to the left. So, I mean, if you've seen the Zapruder film, I mean, come on, physics in itself dictates that the shot came from the front.
From the front, absolutely. I mean, and he was, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense about it. And look, it's weird because you can go off on a tangent on why would Oswald do it? The movie JFK doesn't really. I didn't think it really covered that well. Like they were sort of insinuating. They really. I mean, maybe Stone wasn't really committing, but he didn't really say. He wasn't really clear himself if he thought Oswald was pro-Castro or anti-Castro. So I don't know. Oswald, I do think whoever killed JFK, I believe that Oswald easily could have been an extra shooter, a patsy, a nut recruited by whoever was going to do this assassination, and was just there. But there's just no way I think he was the only guy shooting. I just don't think so.
Absolutely not. And I think what Oliver did with this film is he threw a lot of shit on the wall, hoping that something would stick.
Right.
And he gave, so what he did was he gave the viewer options, I think, to formulate your own opinion.
Yeah.
And his film is basically, a guidepost, for your sensibilities. So, if you're a conspiracy nut, you're gonna think one way. If you're not, you're gonna think another way. So, that being said,
okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
Well, but isn't it the sort? I mean, I appreciate that to a certain degree, but when it's something like this, I think the filmmaker, instead of nursing nostalgia of a dead hero or something and making it all about that, I'd like him to really concretely say, hey, this is what I think happened and this is why. Instead of, hey, more of a choose your own adventure type thing, which is kind of what I felt like it was. That being said, I was entertained throughout the entire movie, I have to say, when I saw it again.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I think that's why he chose Jim Garrison as his main character, because he told the story through Jim Garrison's eyes. And people out there listening who didn't know this, who don't know this, Jim Garrison was the district attorney in New Orleans Parish, in Louisiana, New Orleans, and he is the only person to bring any type of charges in the JFK assassination, because obviously Oswald was killed 2 days after the assassination, so charges were never brought, and there was never a trial for Oswald. He's the only person that actually...
Michael Rooker goes, this is crazy! Right after Oswald gets shot, he goes, this is crazy!
Yeah, and is the guy who plays Luke Ivan says, somebody just saved the Dallas DA a whole ton of work. So, which is true, man. Which is absolutely true, man.
Yep.
And well, I tell you what. Let's go ahead and talk about the cast a little bit. Of course.
Okay. I'd love to, because that was one of the greatest things about rewatching it.
Absolutely, man. I agree with you 100%. Of course, the lead character Jim Garrison is played by Kevin Costner. Obviously, like I said before, he was the district attorney who brought the charges for the conspiracy to kill Kennedy. And now, I think before the film was cast, Kevin Costner was the third choice. Okay?
Oh, really?
Yes, he was the third choice. The number one choice was Harrison Ford. Harrison turned it down because he was taking a break. I guess he was tired. He was on a hiatus, and so he passed on it. Choice number two was Mel Gibson, and Oliver and Mel had a meeting, and the meeting didn't go very well. It was very contentious. So so that kind of fell apart. So choice number 3 was Kevin Costner. So knowing that, now thinking about this role with Harrison Ford, Mel Gibson, and Kevin Costner, what are your thoughts?
Oh, well, look, I think, first of all, I think Costner's an underrated actor. You know, I think he really has shown maybe, you know, some versatility when you watch him in playing the Hatfields and McCoy's movie, for instance. You see him playing the, what is it, Captain Hatfield, whatever the leader of the Hatfield clan was, whatever his name was.
Right.
Costner was great. Like, Costner was versatile. Like, Costner does have depth. He does.
But you gotta think back to 1991. Okay,
correct.
The 1991 Costner, you know, the knock on him back then is that he didn't have a whole lot of range as an actor. He was just like a one note.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah. So he definitely has improved. You know, he definitely has improved in his later years as a character actor. But when he was a leading man, I kind of agree he was kind of one note type of dude. So
absolutely, that's true. But so is Harrison Ford. So is Mel Gibson to a certain degree. I don't know. Mel Gibson back then, maybe, you know, was. I mean, I guess in the early '90s, Mel Gibson was either a Tequila Sunrise, a Crazy Cop, and, you know, the later Lethal Weapon movies. But, you know, he wasn't so versatile. You know, none of those guys are really that versatile. But, you know, Costner, he had done No Way Out by then, which he was, you know, showed some depth in that movie. And I really enjoy. I think that's a really underrated movie.
Yes, it is. With a nice twist at the end. Nice twist. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, right. And you know, so, you know, I think Costner did a good job, and I don't really see either of those two other guys doing a better job that he could have done for that role.
Now, one of the things I will say in Kevin's favor in regards to this particular role, the real life Jim Garrison was laser focused. You know, he was a one note type of guy. He was so focused on, he was obsessed with the Kennedy assassination. So I think, because the real life person didn't have a whole lot of range, having an actor who was kind of, one note, singularly focused, kind of worked to Costner's benefit a little bit in this particular role. And I think he did a magnificent job in the role of Jim Garrison. I totally bought him as Jim Garrison.
I do.
Yeah. I could see possibly Mel Gibson in that role, but I can't see Harrison Ford in that role. So.
Well, I mean, you never know what the actor's going to bring to it until it's done, and it's hard to say. But yeah, who knows how it would have turned out,
True, absolutely. All right, the second lead, I guess you can call him the second lead in the film, is Lee Harvey Oswald, which was played by Gary Oldman. And
the somewhat versatile, I'm just kidding, the incredibly versatile Gary Oldman.
Yes. He's an acting legend. He'll go down in history as one of the best to ever do it.
Absolutely.
And he was spot on as Oswald. It looked like him, his mannerisms, everything, the voice. You can tell he really immersed himself in the role. And obviously, in this film, his role was a flashback. So I think the way that Oliver worked the Oswald character into the film is absolutely magnificent, and the way that Oldman portrayed him was just spot on. So perfect casting.
So I agree with you 100% there. I think some of the Oldman stuff, Oldman/Oswald stuff, was some of the weirdly most nuanced, strange. There were certain edits that I think it was Scalia who was the editor on this, who'd done a lot of good work, and there's some editing. Like I think there's one point where Oswald is. Like you said, it's a flashback in black and white, right?
Yep.
And he had, they're going all the weird things that were happening to Oswald right before the JFK assassination.
Yep.
And you see Oldman holding his two children, and he goes, "What's wrong with his family?" And I thought it was such an interesting clip to keep in there, but so effective at kind of showing maybe there's a different side to Oswald, you know, a guy who's trying to hold his family together, has got his own weird problems, you know, I mean, it was interesting, and not only did he do the flashbacks well in black and white, which was, those were all great, but he also, you know, he reshot stock footage, right?
Yes,
with
he did.
Oswald
Spot on, man.
I mean, with Oldman as Oswald getting shot by Ruby.
Spot on. It was spot on, man.
It was so good. Yeah, I mean, there is absolutely no room for criticism in that area of the film, in my opinion. I loved it. I didn't think it was. I think, you know, I think as great as Gary Oldman is and has always been, I think at that time of his life he was struggling a little with stuff, you know, with stuff. But you know what? He still gives such a good performance there. He's just so naturally talented and just so naturally versatile. His accent, you know, when he goes, "I'm a Marxist-Leninist."
Yeah, I'm a Marxist-Leninist, yeah.
Right, yeah. He's just very, and it was just a really fantastic performance. Nothing else to say about it. Just great performance.
Agreed. Now, a little trivia when it comes to the Oswald role. The Oswald role was actually promised to Frank Whaley.
And he played the other guy.
Yeah, he played the other Oswald, the imposter.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that it was promised to him.
So yeah, there's a story behind this because Whaley was in The Doors with Val Kilmer, in which Oliver directed. Yes. So according to Whaley, when he finished The Doors and Oliver started working on JFK, Oliver promised him the role of Oswald. So he had prepared himself for that role, and he didn't find out that he didn't get the role. He found out, I think, in a newspaper or reading a trade magazine that Oldman had been cast. So he called up Oliver and cussed Oliver out. It's like, "You motherfucker, man! What the fuck, man? I've been preparing for this goddamn role, and I found out Gary Oldman got the fucking job. The fuck?"
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I think he threatened to kick Oliver's ass or something. Oliver's like, "Okay, I tell you what, you can't play Oswald, but you'll play the imposter Oswald."
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, you know, because I was watching it, because it's sort of insinuating in the movie that maybe that dude was the dude. Or that guy was the guy in the picture or something.
Yeah.
I got very confused. I got a little confused on what they were trying to do with that, to be honest. But it's funny. Frank Whaley, I don't know if you remember this, but so if he also killed Frank Whaley, also killed Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah, he did. In Hoffa.
Yeah, in the Jimmy Hoffa movie, he went up and killed Jimmy Hoffa. I think, right? Frank Whaley.
Yeah, he's the one who shot Hoffa. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Well,
and Danny DeVito.
And he kills Danny DeVito after it, right? And Danny DeVito comes running after him like he's gonna do something.
In slow motion.
Exactly, right. He puts his 9mm at him. He says, "Danny DeVito's got no chance against this guy." He blows him away. So I didn't really know what they were trying. I get it. That stuff was factual. So that was a little confusing to me. What was the movie trying to say was going on there?
Okay. Well, in real life, that is what happened. Okay. Now, let me back up a little bit because the film is based on two books: On the Trail of the Assassins, written by Jim Garrison, and CROSSFIRE, The Plot That Killed Kennedy, written by Jim Morris. I've read both books, which are very intriguing books. Okay. During the early part, I think 1963, the year that Kennedy was assassinated, there were as many as 3 different guys claiming to be Oswald. Okay, they were seen around Dallas, basically doing things to make themselves memorable to the people that they met. Like, for example, the Frank Whaley Oswald, he's going around, he's going to the shooting range and shooting other people's targets and talking about how much he hates Kennedy. He drives the car like a bat out of hell, even though Oswald couldn't drive. And, he's doing things so that folks will remember him. Okay?
Right.
And there was another Oswald who was seen in Mexico, who was going around, went to the consulate and everything. And that dude was a fat dude, using the name Oswald. So they were doing something that Garrison referred to as sheep dipping. So basically,
sheep dipping.
I'm sorry.
Sheep dipping. Sheep dipping.
Yeah, sheep dipping.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically a form of gaslighting.
Right.
So that is what was happening, and once again, that's part of his conspiracy, saying that it was the CIA and the mob and everybody in cahoots, and that this was part of the conspiracy to frame Oswald by using these imposters, in and around Dallas, doing all these things that folks would remember. So when it happened, it's, oh yeah, I remember that guy. He's the guy who shot at my target at the, was talking all the extreme shit at the. So that's why you got the Frank Whaley character doing all the crazy shit that he was doing. So that's where that came from.
The insinuation that the government, whatever powers were behind this assassination, they're trying to, sow discord in everything that's, in the evidence, I guess, or in Oswald himself. They're trying to create confusion, I guess, before the assassination.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they did. And so all this is documented. And once again, my listeners out there, if you got time, read on the Trail of the Assassins, written by Jim Garrison. Now, CROSSFIRE, The Plot That Killed Kennedy, it's like 1,200 pages. I've written the book.
Which would you recommend first?
I would recommend CROSSFIRE first, because it is very detailed, whereas Garrison's book is more of a summation. And Garrison's book focuses, singularly on his investigation, whereas the Jim Marrs book basically it pulls at all the threads, all the different conspiracy theories, and ties them all together. Okay, so if you're a reader, if you like, if you're gonna fly to Tokyo, you're gonna be on a 10-hour flight, read read CROSSFIRE. But it's engrossing stuff, man. Engrossing stuff. So
I might pick it up. I think I'll pick it up.
So what?
I'm gonna pick it up.
Yeah, do that, man. I highly recommend it. All right. So casting. Let's get back into casting. Okay.
Yep.
Clay Shaw, who's the person that was arrested and charged with the conspiracy to kill Kennedy, was played by none other than the legend himself, Tommy Lee Jones. Now,
Football player.
Yes.
College football player.
Ex-college football player. And he was friends with Bill Clinton, wasn't he? I think somebody.
Was he? I could see that, but I didn't know that for a fact. But I get.
No, I take it back. No, he was friends with somebody. I think he was friends with the Kennedy family.
A little younger than him.
I think he was friends with the Kennedy family, one of the Kennedy boys, when he was in college. I think.
Oh, that makes sense. Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right? Yeah, they would be there at the same time. I mean, or one of the younger.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
He had some sort of affiliation. He had some sort of connection, to the Kennedys, because he went to Harvard and everything. So, anyway.
He went to Harvard, played ball there.
So obviously, Tommy Lee Jones played.
He's got. There's still the coal miner's daughter.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that one?
Yeah.
Or like what's the one with where he plays the Vietnam vet? I'm spacing it.
Heaven and Earth. Heaven and Earth.
Yeah, that one too. I'm thinking of Rolling Thunder.
Oh, Rolling Thunder.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
He plays this sociopathic.
Yeah.
But this empty ex-vet, and he just doesn't have many lines, but he is just so tough and so cool and so scary, and just someone who you'd like. If you have a psycho friend, that's the psycho friend I want, is Tommy Lee Jones in Rolling Thunder. So he had done a lot of great stuff before remember when The Fugitive came out? He just got huge, but this too, JFK was these are the movies where I remember I really started first recognizing him, even though he had done all this great work before.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of his signature roles, and he got his first Academy Award nomination for this role as well. So,
oh wow,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Didn't win, of course, but yeah, that was his first Academy Award nomination. And obviously, he plays Clay Shaw. Clay Shaw is once again the guy that he was a CIA operative. Also, he was a businessman based out of New Orleans, and basically they're saying that he's the guy who kind of pulled everything together as far as bringing in Oswald and all these other characters. And he's the guy who actually
right-wing business.
Yes.
Right-wing businessman, Clay Shaw.
Yes, that's it. And he also is the guy that hired a lawyer to represent Oswald when he got arrested for the assassination. But obviously, a few days later, the guy got killed. So that's what kind of drew Garrison to Clay Shaw. So, and also Clay Shaw was a homosexual. So that was also something that kind of tied into it as well.
And he had an alias.
Yes, Clay Bertrand. Yeah, you're right. Clay Bertrand was his alias. And that is the name that was given, I guess, for the guy that hired Oswald's lawyer, which was played by John Candy in the film.
Right. He was good. He was good. That was one of his last roles.
Good. It was. It sure was. And we'll talk about John in just a second. But the Tommy Lee Jones role, once again, a magnificent performance. I mean, every scene he's in, he steals it. So, loved him in this role. Loved it.
He was great. I liked him too. There are some parts that he's in that I was like, this seems a little over the top, but who knows? The Kevin Bacon, Joe Pesci party night where they're all dressed up with wearing like
gold paint,
a wing party.
Yeah.
Pesci has Clay Shaw on all fours, and he's slapping him, and it's just this perverse, weird orgy of power and miscreants and diabolical plans coming out in weird corners of the room while this orgy is going on. And that stuff was a little over the top, but, still so fucking entertaining. So I enjoyed him pretty much every scene he was in. Tommy Lee Jones, I enjoyed. Yeah, he was great. Okay.
All right. Next up, we have you mentioned Kevin Bacon. So the infamous Kevin Bacon. 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. So in this particular film, man, I mean everybody in Hollywood was in it. So this movie just.
This is like 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon is a garbage game because Kevin Bacon was in JFK.
Exactly, man. So that ties into basically everybody. So now Kevin Bacon actually plays a composite character, Willie O'Keefe. So if out there are folks who don't know what a composite character is, it's basically a fictional character who basically takes on the role on multiple roles to basically serves as exposition. Instead of so it kind of tightens up the film a little bit. But his performance as Willie O'Keefe is very memorable, and I love his interrogation scene in prison where he's sitting out there with Michael Rooker and Kevin Costner. I mean, it's just an amazing scene. He steals the hell out of it, and my favorite part of that scene is when he says, I think he says, well, you're a liberal. You don't know shit because you never been fucked in the ass.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but then also he says he starts going as if it's music. He starts going, fascism's coming back, man.
Yeah, fascism's coming back.
And look who's president.
So he's a gay racist.
That's right. And he's a gay racist and white power guy. I mean, that's what I assumed.
Yeah.
That he was, into that. And it was funny, because the scene that, the most memorable, he's in some of the flashbacks while he's describing meeting, Shaw, and he meets Oswald. that's a great scene because they're both good actors.
Yes.
Bacon and Oldman.
Oh
And
yeah. So you recall when he meets Oswald for the first time, he tries to shake his hand.
Right.
Oswald's like, what the fuck is he doing here? And he says, well, fuck you, motherfucker.
Exactly. He goes, fuck you, motherfucker. And walks away from him. And he's like, just a Southern, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy dude. And he was great. And he was so in the scene where he is, we're the scene where he's talking to, what's interesting is where he's talking to Rooker. It's Rooker and Costner.
Yeah.
And he's talking to Matt when they're outside, and he's talking by the tree.
Yeah.
And he says, he's going, so, he goes, I heard this, I heard that, I heard this. He goes, but then when I saw, that Kennedy, I just knew there was a connection, he says. But then, he flips it, he goes, and let me tell you, that was a great day.
A great day
when he was shot. I started laughing out loud when I heard him say that, because he's like,
that motherfucker Kennedy.
He might have killed the president, which was a great day.
Absolutely. Now, actually, one of the composite characters that he was playing is Perry Russo. Now, Perry Russo.
Okay, I don't know anything about. So who's that?
Perry Russo is actually the real life guy that Jim Garrison said that was at that party and described everything that Kevin Bacon described.
Okay.
And the thing about Perry Russo is that the conspiracy theory, not conspiracy theory, the folks who were trying to stop Costner, the anti-Costner folks or whatever, anti-Jim Garrison folks, claimed that he had drugged Perry Russo to make him sell these things. And they had hypnotized him or drugged him or whatever. And so nobody believed Perry Russo. For one, he was gay, and two, that there were claims that he was. What's that serum that they give you to tell truth? What's it called? Sodium pentothal?
Yeah, sodium pentothal is true serum.
True serum, yeah. So actually, the real life Perry Russo is in the film. You remember when the scene at the bar when Kennedy first gets shot? You got Costner and Lou Ivan at the bar, and the guy said he's clapping and said, "Die, motherfucker, die!"
Yep. That's him.
That's Perry Russo. Yes.
Oh, I gotta see that again. Okay.
Yeah, that's the real life Perry Russo.
That's one of the guys that Bacon was a composite. I got you.
Yeah, exactly. So next up, once again, we got John Candy that we spoke about. Now, John Candy played what was the character's name? Good Lord, what was his name?
I can't remember. I just know he had the coolest accent.
That's right. You got the right tie and the wrong ho-ho. What was the guy's name? Dean Andrews. Dean Andrews is the lawyer that was hired to represent Oswald before Oswald got killed. And fun fact, John Candy looks exactly like the real life Dean Andrews, who's a Hellcat type of person. Yeah, looked exactly like him.
That's great.
Yeah, exactly. So it's perfect casting. Now this was John Candy's first dramatic role, and John was very nervous about being. He was very intimidated because being in this film with all these prestige actors and everything, and him being a comedy guy, he didn't think he had the chops to pull it off and everything, and it took some convincing. Actually, Oliver was not going to cast him, but Kevin Costner was like, "If you don't cast John Candy, I ain't doing it." So,
wow.
Yeah. So in the scene with him and Kevin Costner at the restaurant where he's sweating, that's real sweat. That's nervous sweat.
I bet. I thought it was maybe real sweat because he was so overweight at the time. But
he was so he said he was so nerve wracked in that scene. I think that was his first day of shooting or whatever. And he was so nervous and everything. But obviously it played to his advantage. They used that to the advantage or whatever. But that John Candy actually had to be calmed down because he was so nervous and he felt so overwhelmed by everything. So I think that comes out in his performance. So
it does. It makes me feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
Like I felt like he was gonna do some other stuff. He did Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and a few years later, 5 years later, 4 years later, at JFK, and he, I thought there was some room for growth as an actor. It's too bad he went so fast,
I agree.
Yeah.
And of course, once again, this is an all-star cast. One other character I think we need to talk about before we move forward is Joe Pesci as David Ferry. Once again, David Ferry is a real-life person. And I don't know if you've seen photos of real-life David Ferry, man. Joe Pesci was exactly like him. And what a weird guy. Yes, what a weird guy.
Well, do you know this? Can I give a little fun fact before we start talking about Pesci?
Go ahead.
Did you see The Irishman?
Mm-hmm.
So you remember Pesci in that goes to the bureau. He goes, "You're going to meet a fairy named Fairy."
Ah! Yes, right. He sure did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. That's amazing.
Pretty funny, right?
Yeah. And The Irishman is just as long as JFK, so... Okay, I got that. Okay, all right. Neat. But yeah.
Anyway, so his performance, I thought was a little... What did you think? Let me hear what you thought about it.
Okay, I love this performance. I think, once again, every scene he's in, he steals it.
Yeah.
But, and this is one of the topics we're going to talk about a little bit later on, so I'll kind of save it for that. But
okay.
But I think, once again, doing my research on the real-life David Ferry, that's the kind of person that he was. So I kind of get the performance. Now, it is kind of off-putting, but at the same time, once again, this is based on real-life characters, so you got to be true to the character. So if the research says this is how this person was, I see why he played that character in that, in that manner. And obviously, Oliver, I'm sure encouraged him to kind of have fun with it as well. So I'm sure it might have been a little bit over the top, but at the same time, he became a sympathetic character to me as he, his guilt with everything, I think in the second act, before he passes away, his guilt kind of gets the best of him. But my favorite scene with Joe Pesci is the initial interrogation scene where he's lying and
he's changed.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Mr. Garrison. I got confused.
Right. I believe I did get a goose.
Yeah, but your boy said they didn't get any. Your boy, you said your young friends also told us you didn't have any guns. So how you gonna shoot geese with no guns? Oh yeah, you're right.
It's just lie after lie.
Yeah.
Listen, Joe Pesci, first of all, there's no one, and not that Ferry was a mob guy. I mean, he may have been involved with the mob, but, he wasn't an Italian-American quintessential mob guy,
No.
But Pesci nails those roles, even if the role isn't that, even if the movie isn't so spectacular. Like, I thought Casino had some flaws, but just Pesci, so believable as a gangster. And,
as a psychopathic gangster.
As a psychopathic, as a gangster who, exactly like in Casino, when he comes in, he says, "I'll baseball bat your head and I'm not going to lose a wink of sleep." He could play that kind of guy in these mob movies so well. But JFK, now, obviously, I'm trying to think, and I'm wondering, I think for Pesci, that must have been one of the most challenging things in his career, like to really undertake a character study and be like someone and study them. And I thought like you said, a lot of it was over the top, but maybe intentional and funny nonetheless. When he goes a little over the top, like, when he's confessing, he goes, "Who killed the president? Who killed the president? Shoot it,
I don't know. Yeah, it's an enigma. It's a riddle. It's an enigma. Don't you fucking get it? Even the shooters don't know.
So, look, man, like, if charges that I'd say, hey, tone it down a little bit. This is too cartoonish. Like,
Okay. Well,
it bothered me a little bit.
Put yourself in Oliver's shoes. So, what do you think Oliver said to him?
Kapeshi?
Yeah. What do you think?
I mean, I think there's a quote recently by Aaron Keto and I think Cole Drake or maybe it was someone else, but they said actors do 80% of the work. So I don't know if Stone said, hey, Pesci, get in there, just do your thing, and we'll use what you do. You know, if he was very controlled. I have no idea how he directed Pesci in that movie, but my guess is that he gave him some freedom and, probably with the help of some substances, like cut up Stone in the editing room with his editor, cut it up and made it into something that was great. But I wouldn't say it's a great performance, but it was an entertaining performance.
Yeah, memorable performance. Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely a memorable performance.
Yeah.
And some of that maybe is the direction, some of the editing, and Pesci is a good actor. I thought that was a challenge for Pesci, though, that kind of role. It's not his wheelhouse usually.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my opinion is, my takeaway is that Oliver probably say, hey, do a couple my way, do a couple your way, and we'll cut it together and we'll see what we got. So
that's probably correct.
Yeah. So all right. That being said, once again, this is a star-studded film. A lot of folks turn up in cameos and
unbelievable.
Yes, unbelievable cast.
I totally forgot how star-studded it was.
Yes, I mean, damn near all of the major speaking roles have recognizable actors. A lot of great character actors. A lot of that guys in it. Like the guy who plays Lou Ivans is that guy. I don't know his name, but he's in everything.
Right.
You got Michael Rooker, who is in everything. You got Tony Plana, which is one of my favorite Latino actors, is in it.
And he plays
the Cuban guy.
The anti-Castro guy.
Yeah, anti-Castro guy. Yeah.
And is that the same guy? Well, I got confused. Was he the guy who then gets machete later?
No.
That's not the guy.
No, it's not. No. Del Valle. That was Del Valle that got machete. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you also got Sissy Spacek, the Academy Award-winning Sissy Spacek, in the role of the wife. Laurie Metcalf from Roseanne. Who else you got?
She was, Sissy Spacek, so she won for Coal Miner's Daughter, right?
Yes, she did.
Right, yeah. Look, don't you think she was wasted?
Yes.
Those scenes, that was all wasted.
Yeah.
Every one of those scenes should have been taken out.
Yeah, it kind of grinds to a halt whenever, you got her bitching at him about, not taking care of not spending time with the kids. Dude, I'm investigating the murder of the fucking president. Give me a break.
I couldn't have been less interested.
Yeah.
When 1 minute we're talking about the assassination of the president, the next scene is Sissy Spacek, who is so talented. This is not her. This is not because of her skill. She is fantastic. I don't know if you saw In the Bedroom, but she is just fantastic in that.
Yeah.
And
loved it. Yeah.
She's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But her role, didn't give her much to work with, right? Like,
no.
It goes from Costner, they have that female ADA who they're working with.
Yeah, Laurie Metcalf. That was Laurie Metcalf.
Correct,
yeah.
Right. Now, she's great.
Yeah.
And her character's great. And, but Sissy Spacek was really just like, I don't know why they even checked any of that in. I don't know why they cast had her, wasted the money to cast a star for that role. If I was the director or the producer or whatever, I would have cut all of that out. I didn't like any of it. The domestic stuff and I think a lot of it was Stone probably knowing that didn't fit in, but was like, Basic is I gotta give her due. I gotta keep her stuff in. She's a well-respected actress. I can't just cut her out of a film, understandably.
Yeah, so. Exactly. I mean, it looks like she probably had 2 or 3 days worth of work. I mean, it's not like
that's right.
Something that was really taxing for her.
No. That's dude. It's a very small criticism I'm making here.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of that stuff in it.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you're right. You could have saved some time on on a 3.5 hour film by cutting her 10 minutes out. I get it, absolutely get it. But it's nice to see, at the same time. I like Sissy SpaceX, so
she's great.
It doesn't ruin it for me, but you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. All right. So okay. So we just once again, Brian Doyle Murray, Bill Murray's brother, plays Jack Ruby. I mean, you got so many guys who are just popping.
Bill Murray's brother.
Yes.
That's what that was.
Yes. He just you got all these guys who just kind of pop. Wayne Knight is in it. I mean, so you got all these folks just popping up, man. Lolita Davidovich, she plays the babushka lady. I mean, so.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, you got.
And then also, those people like Ed Asner, right?
Ed Asner, Jack Lemmon. I mean, Walter Matthau.
Walter Matthau for one scene, right?
Yes. Donald Sutherland. His scene is magnificent. Yes.
Okay, now that Donald Sutherland, in my opinion, is the most, at least if you're talking about the Hollywood establishment, he's one of the most underrated actors of all time. Do you know that he has never gotten an Academy Award nomination?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, which is a crime.
Never.
He should have been nominated for this film.
He should have been nominated for 10 films. Don't Look Now, Ordinary People.
Ordinary People.
Yeah. He was the only one of that cast who didn't get nominated.
Yeah.
I have to feel it's because he's not the stereotypical handsome man or something. I have to feel that factors into it somehow. He doesn't look. He's not got the quintessential good looks or something. I don't know. Maybe that doesn't play into it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
He never got his credit.
No, he didn't. But he definitely, once again, he has a pivotal role because he gives us a lot of information. He plays a real life character as well, but he gives us a lot of important information. Yeah.
Does he? Can I ask you a question about that?
What's that?
So I heard that, and I heard this from a friend. So I didn't read this. This is could be garbage information, but I heard the Donald Sutherland character was essentially Oliver Stone. Like, that was Oliver Stone's opinion, that he was inserting into that. But that could be complete horseshit. I heard that from someone.
No, because I'm going to say that. I'm going to say no because X is Fletcher Prouty. And he was the guy, he was a real life guy they called himself X, which was Prouty was a retired Air Force colonel. Or general. No, colonel. I think it was a colonel. But yeah. He basically, I'm sure some of the things that the character says is Oliver Stone putting his take in it as well, but it is based on the Fletcher Prouty character, the real life person. So, but I think there's truth to that statement. I think it's a little of both, maybe 50-50. Some 50-50 Oliver's conspiracy theories versus Prouty's. Because Prouty was once again discredited as a nut in regards to everything that he said. So once again, when it comes to this whole conspiracy thing, man, just so many threads, man. Just so many threads.
Man.
Yeah.
I know, and that's, not to go back, not to get sidetracked here, but that's what makes you think that it is, something did happen. There's just too much smoke, man,
Just way too much, the guy, another that guy in the film, the guy that, the one that died, in the truck crash. The guy that saw the shooter at the fence.
Right. The guy who died in the car crash. Right.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. That guy.
And that's Taylor Pruitt Vince. So.
Oh, right.
Yes.
God, what amazing cast.
Yeah, cause you probably talking anywhere from maybe 15 to 20 roles, man, played by folks, man. You'd be like, oh wow, You know, they come in for a day, do their job, and go home.
Yeah.
And, Vincent D'Onofrio is in it. You know, did you catch D'Onofrio?
Wait, did I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
D'Onofrio, Vincent D'Onofrio.
Oh, but yeah. He plays one of the witnesses,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He's in the very beginning, right?
One scene. Yeah, I think just one scene, but yeah, he's there.
Yeah. I don't know how Stone gets these guys to do. I mean, I guess he just come in and shoot for a day. But I guess Vincent wasn't huge at that time, but he'd done Full Metal Jacket, and that was pretty.
But you got to keep in mind when JFK when this film was shot, man, it was such a prestige film. There was so much publicity behind it and everything. So so having your name on that cast list, man, that looks good on your resume. So
especially in '91.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot of other avenue. This is what's coming out this year. You're gonna be in it or not.
Yeah, it was the big. It was the big film of 1991.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So that being said, we're gonna push on to subject number 2. Topic number 2. All right. Tell me what you like most about the film.
Well, like we were just talking, the initial emotional response, that I had of seeing the, people, of seeing Costner interact with Mathau and Lemon, in 2020. Seeing those people again acting felt like a high to me. It was just great to see that. But, if I have the performances, man. That's what I like most about that movie. If I have to put my finger on one thing, is the performances, for sure. I mean, the acting is. You could say it's a little all over the place, but it's really interesting what's going on there with a lot of the acting.
I agree. Once again, I do.
And Richardson. Is it Robertson? Who did the Richardson?
Robert Richardson. Yeah, Robert Richardson shot it.
And he's done everything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's just such a veteran. And his camera work, although one could say it is too confusing, and the way it's edited is too chaotic. I think that's what they were going for. And in the 90s, with early 90s, it was just a different kind. That kind of editing and camera work was just done more and more accepted. I don't know. It didn't really work. I think he's unbelievably talented, but I think a lot of the camera, the quick cuts, all that, it was too much, in my opinion, for me. I really, it was too much. Had they just not been so all over the place with, in like a flashback, the camera is, shooting one thing in black and white, then you're looking at some guy in color, then you're looking at this, then you're looking at that, and it's just too much for me sometimes, in the movie. Maybe it's the kind of thing I'd have to see more times to appreciate it fully. I don't know.
Well, you're talking to somebody who's seen this movie at least 100 times, if not more. Okay? So I have to beg to differ with you. That's what I like most about the film. I love the way this film is cut, the way it's shot. That's my favorite thing. But to me, it's an origin for my eyes every time I see it, man. I love the way the film is cut. And my opinion is that they cut it that way with the quick cuts and the shift to black and white and the camera movement and everything. I think because it's such a confusing situation, it adds to the splendor of the film. Because the way it's shot, it puts you in a mindset. I mean, there's just so much shit going on. And you gotta think about it. Think about it. If you're Jim Garrison and you're learning all this stuff, and it's just something coming at you. Wouldn't that fuck you up?
Totally, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like being on a trip. Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. So because really you think about it, man, this film is one big exposition dump. The whole film, you every scene you're in this.
That's exactly that is a great heading, like for the group. It is an exposition dump.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Because really, you said it yourself. Really, the only scenes where you're not really learning something is the SpaceX scenes. That's it. Every other scene, you got them interrogating somebody. You got them questioning this person, and you got the flashbacks. Oswald doing this, Oswald doing that. Everything is information. Every character is giving you information. Joe Pesci's character is giving you information. Kevin Bacon's character giving you information. Walter Matthau giving you information. Donald Sutherland giving you information. Jack Lemmon giving you information. I mean, John Candy giving you information. It's like everybody's role is to tell you something. They're telling.
Didn't you find it overwhelming? I mean,
no, because it's to me, no, because it's so fucking engrossing, man. It is so interesting to me. The shit that happened, man. Okay, let me back up a little bit and tell you the story of how I saw this film the first time. Okay, I was in San Antonio, Texas. I was living in Texas at the time. All right, when the film, I heard a little bit about the film, and when it came out, I had no desire to see it whatsoever. I was like, fuck this, I'm 20-some-odd years old. I'm out chasing girls, whatever, right? Anyway, so the film came out. I never watched it or anything. Anyways, long story short, I go to a friend's house to pick him up to go hang out, and I get there a little early, and they're like, he and his wife are in the back room. I'm in the living room, and they actually rented JFK, and so it's on. And it's like it's
playing as you came in, or
yeah.
Okay.
It's probably about 10-15 minutes into the movie.
Okay.
So I'm there to pick him up to go hang out. So I sit down on the sofa waiting for him and everything. I start watching. Next thing I know, it's 3 hours later, and I'm there with my mouth fucking open. I'm like, I did not know all this. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, because my friend came out, he was ready to go. I said, dude, I'm watching this, man. We gotta wait. I gotta see this shit, And actually, I was living with my girlfriend at the time, and so I watched it, and me and my friend hung out. I took him back home, whatever. On the way home, I stopped at Blockbuster, rented it, took it home, made my girlfriend watch it.
Yeah.
And dude, okay, all right. Let me tell you how obsessed I was with this film. Okay. Once again, I tie a lot of things into my exploits with women, but I'm not going to go that deep with it. Anyways, dude, no lie. I can't believe I'm saying this. No lie.
No, go ahead.
There was this girl once, it was a few years later, there was this girl that, I've been kind of, trying to date or whatever, right? Trying to get with or whatever, right? And I finally get her to come over to my place. Okay, so I'm like, finally, we've been out on a few dates, but she always, kind of kept me at arm's length and all this kind of stuff, right? She never, I couldn't get past first base with her.
Sure.
Okay, all right, hey.
Been there many times.
Okay, well, we're all adults here. I'm trying to fuck her, okay? So,
of course.
So, all right. So, anyways, I finally get her to come over to my place. It's a Sunday night. Tonight's the night. I'm like, I'm finally gonna fuck this girl. All right. Okay, and this is back during VCRs and all that kind of stuff, right?
Of course, 91, 92, 93, a couple years after.
Yeah, there's no streaming and all that kind of stuff, right? Okay, all right. So, and JFK is coming on, okay, on HBO. So, I knew the movie was coming on. I wanted to watch it. So I'm upstairs with this girl in the bedroom, okay, and we're kissing and everything. We're getting ready to fuck. Then I remember JFK is coming on. Dude, I was like, I gotta go watch JFK.
Wow.
I gotta go watch JFK.
My friend.
So what?
I can only tell you. Finish what you were saying. So what did she do? What was her reaction?
So I was like, this movie I gotta watch. I'm sorry, let's go down. I was like, let's go downstairs and watch and everything, right? Let's and she could care less about JFK. I'm like, watch this. She's like, fuck it, I'm out.
Did it work out for you at least after the movie?
No. Actually, she actually started dating the guy that lived like a couple apartments down from me.
I once had a date over, and we nothing happened between us. I think we didn't even get to first date. I think we hugged. And that was as far as we got. We television and said, check this out, and tried to get her to watch the entire first season of True Detective with me, and she walked out and she pretended that she was going to the bathroom and walked out and left.
Oh.
And I was like, what the hell just happened? But, you know, I mean, I guess it's a little rude to invite someone over and then say, hey, we're going to watch my show. So I get it why she would leave me. But that's funny. I know what you're talking about. Back in the day, if JFK was on, that was the only chance you were going to get to see it.
Exactly.
You weren't going to get to stream it 6 hours later or watch it on YouTube.
Exactly. You know? I couldn't DVR it or nothing. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, man. So and that was a tough choice, man. But
I hear you. Well, it was. Hey, man, you're a movie lover, so it went to what? It was an animal instinct. You said, I gotta see this movie. It doesn't matter what else is going on. I don't care if the house is burning down.
Exactly, man. So I don't regret it. So. All right, so I digress. So I'm back on subject now. Okay, what I like most about it, like I said, it was the editing and everything. Once again, it's a lot to love about this film. So it was the editing, and I told you my reason why. So there we go.
Yeah.
All right. So next topic. What did you like the least about it?
Well, I would have to say, as I've already brought up, the SpaceX stuff was probably, if I had to say what I liked the least about the movie JFK was Sissy SpaceX scenes. All of that stuff. I was just totally uninterested. Again, I think she's wonderful. I think Costner's wonderful. I just don't think she had a lot to do, and it was just very boring. And, I think, if I had my other big problem with the movie, as I've kind of said, is it was just, and I know this, was intentional, but it was just too much. And I get it. That's what they were going for. But it failed to entertain me in a way that I would have preferred it to be a little bit more narrow. Here's the problem I have, man. It's like, it felt like you were on a treadmill, like with that movie. Like you were running in place. You weren't learning anything that was giving you an answer. And I know that's because that's the way the facts are. I get it. But, you have Cubans, you have the mob, and you have the government, right? Those are the three big villains that may have killed JFK, right?
Right.
This movie really didn't do a very good job of Oliver Stone or the characters in the movie saying, hey, this is the chain of events that started and happened. This is where I think the mob got involved. This is how Cuba was involved. And this is the section of the government that either helped facilitate it or turned their backs and just closed their eyes and let it happen, or completely were the assassins themselves. There wasn't a lot of explanation there in the movie, there really wasn't. Like the stuff with Cuba, it was a lot, very convoluted. With they have those two mob guys. Those guys. So the guy. What was the witness who dies? Who sees them? Who sees the hobos being grounded into the train?
Yeah, the guy Lee Bowers.
What's his name? Right.
Yeah.
So two of those guys. The camera. You see them. The mob guys, right? In the line, like with the jacket,
yeah.
The big collar, the mob guys.
Yeah.
And I just want to know where that fits. Okay, so I think the mob was absolutely involved in the JFK assassination. I think there's a 100% chance in my mind, from what I've read, that the mob helped JFK get elected.
Yes.
Chicago and other places, a bunch of places. And the fact Right. So do you hear what I'm saying? Like, I don't think Stone put out a good, hey, it started with here, and then it went here, and then this is my theory. It's just a bunch of wild theories all whirling around it. And again, you said, that's probably what Garrison saw, and that's how he felt, and that's what Stone was trying to show us. Maybe so, but I would have, appreciated just a movie with a little bit more of a, I don't know, just a more of explanation on what exactly did the Cubans do to get JFK killed? What exactly did the Mafia and who in the Mafia? What did they do exactly to get JFK killed? And who in the government? What branches in the government? Was it the military?
CIA. CIA.
Or was it the military, CIA, whoever?
Yeah.
What did they do? And I don't think he really. There was a lot of ambiguity floating around there,
Well,
and I had a problem with that.
Well, I feel you on that. And what I liked least about it is that it wasn't long enough. I think.
No, I hear you.
I think that if this movie is made in 2020, it will be a 10-part miniseries.
10-part series.
Yeah, on Netflix. Because there's just so much information. Because he had to cram all this in three and a half hours or whatever. And the film,
I couldn't agree with you more.
And I've seen the director's cut. And the director's cut, obviously, there's more exposition and everything. But there's just way too much information for a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
For a number of different reasons. And I'm sure.
Now, you saw the director's cut?
Yeah.
Did you like that more?
Yeah, because it fleshes some things out. And it gives you, once again, like for example, there's one scene where I don't know if you realize this or not, but the Michael Rooker character actually betrays him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he actually betrays him because
in court, like in his testimony.
No, he actually gives a lot of their information to the FBI on the investigation.
Wow.
He does a little espionage, whatever. He's a mole.
He's a mob too, that character, correct?
No. He was an attorney, and he actually
his uncle was in the mob or something.
No, he was connected to the FBI.
But who's that? He's talking to some shady character.
That was the FBI guy.
Oh.
That's
okay.
the FBI guy. Yeah. So he basically was leaking information to the FBI on the investigation. Now there's a deleted scene where it's in the director's cut where Garrison goes to L.A. He's on a talk show, and the Rooker character follows him and meets him in the airport, and tells him that there's going to be an attempt on his life. And Costner's like, I told you not to be fucking with me with this stuff about people trying to kill me or whatever, right? Costner goes to the bathroom, and actually they try to set him up. He goes to the bathroom, and as he goes to the bathroom, the Rooker character signals someone. They follow him into the bathroom. What they tried to do was have a guy go in there, make it look like they were having a homosexual incident in the bathroom. And Costner kind of realizes he realizes this and gets the hell out of there. And then he sees the Rooker character, hanging in the shadows, and he realizes this guy has betrayed me. So
you sort of saw his character was the one of the team who was kind of like
always, having the dissenting opinion. Yeah, he was the
devil's advocate. Government.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he was never 100% all in with them, and so he was the guy who actually, that infiltrated or that the FBI was able to turn. So that's kind of fleshed out. There's some other scenes that are kind of fleshed out as well. So the thing I like the least about it, once again, is that just once again, I did not want this film to end. Like I said, I've seen it, well over 100 times, man. And I watched it again a couple days ago. And even now, if I watch it tonight, I'm still gonna be disappointed at the end because I want to see more. I just
keep watching it and watching.
Yeah. Hoping that I'll get to see more. So
yeah, I hear you.
Which is stupid. But yeah, so that's what I like least about it. I mean, even the SpaceX scenes, I can live with the SpaceX scenes because once again, it's just such an information overload, and I can't ever get anybody to watch it with me. My kids don't want to watch it. My wife don't want to watch it. So it's one of the movies I gotta watch like in the middle of the night. Huh?
How about the I also did have a little bit of some problems with that court scene. You know, like
I love the court scene, man.
I felt some of it was just too corny and just too pretentious. I felt like it was trying to gaslight me into this.
Oh, by the way, I'm glad you brought that up because the courtroom scene with Kevin Costner, the big summation at the end, never happened. Never happened. He was.
Yeah, I did. You could tell it did. You know, you could tell it was written.
Yeah.
You know, of course it did. You know, and
he wasn't even in court that day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He see Garrison left a lot of the actual litigation or the argument in court. He left it to his assistants.
Yeah, that's how they do it.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, so he wasn't there. He wasn't there on verdict day or anything.
I had problems with the court scene, but you know, it wasn't for me. But I can't. It's not one of those things where I'm like, oh, this is bad. You know, I'm just like, this is, you know, a little too pretentious or over the top for me at times. You know, but
well, he basically in the courtroom scene, he basically runs down. He summarizes everything, as far as what happened that day with Oswald. So,
but when he's talking about Oswald and comparing him to Hamlet or what was it?
Kafka.
You're right, and you know, just give me a break. I don't know. Some of it seems silly, you know, but you know, and that's just my opinion, and that's a small portion of the movie. You know, again, you know, the presence of his family in the court, you know,
never happened.
Yeah, it bothered me though, you know, in the movie when he's like, my son here will be your lead, you know, and it's like, yeah.
So, okay. All right, next topic. Okay, if you were to pitch this film, how would you pitch it?
You know, pitch it to a studio?
Yeah, if you were pitching it, how would you pitch it?
I mean, you know, the only way I pitch anything is, hey, I got Jack Lemmon involved. Are you guys interested? Hey, Kevin Costner likes this. Do you guys also like it? I would pitch it as, I'm gonna make. I think what you said. I think that's the best thing. An exposition drop. You know, a dump of information. You know, that's what this is essentially. You know, that's how I pitch it.
Okay, this is the way I would pitch it. You know, if I'm sitting in front of a decision maker in Hollywood.
Development.
Yeah. I would say imagine a movie in 2020 where you have 20 of the biggest stars in Hollywood in the same movie. Imagine that for a second.
Okay, but that was happening in the 90s. Okay, so you're talking about me pitching it in 2020.
Yeah, in 2020. Yeah, in 2020.
Okay, yeah. All right, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I left that part out. My bad. Yeah.
So let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw that Star Tower and how good they all were, even if like that math hour role wasn't that important in the long run, it was still so great just watching it. So that's how I would have pitched it too. I got this cast to work with me. Come on, let's make a movie.
Exactly. Yeah, I've got Brad Pitt. And I've got, who else? Who else big? Tom Cruise.
Like Ocean's 11, type cast.
Yeah. Tom Cruise is gonna come in for a day. He's already committed. You know.
Yeah, but Robert Pattinson is in for 2 days.
Yeah.
And we also have Jack Nicholson. There's also everyone.
Yeah. Jennifer Aniston is gonna play the wife. You know. Exactly. Morgan Freeman's gonna do the narration. I mean, just all you know. Yeah, I want $100 million.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's gonna be 4 hours long.
You know?
That's how I would pitch it. Now, and I think I get the money. I think I get it. At least I get a second meeting. Okay. So recasting. If you were to recast this film with, if you were to recast the lead role, the Costner role, with an old school Hollywood star, who would that person be?
Like a guy from the 40s and 50s.
Yeah, from the golden age. Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, everyman. Yeah, I can definitely see because he plays the role of the confused everyman very well. Yeah.
He does, and you know, Mr. Smith goes to Washington.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm saying that because that's popping into my head, but there had to have been a parallel in Stone's mind when he had Costner there to Stewart and Mr. Smith goes to Washington. I could not see that Stone didn't see some little irony there. You know, the benevolent outsider of Washington trying to battle it in court, or in the other movie in Congress, he was trying to battle corruption.
Yes, I agree. But I would choose for my recast, old school. I would choose Clark Gable in the role of Jim Garrison.
He was my top three when you said the question. Clark Gable probably would be really great too.
Yeah. You know, as a Southern gentleman, you know, type guy, I could definitely see him in that role. I can.
He's so alpha. I mean, in his, Southern charm, it's a guy. You know, it was really the one reason I wouldn't pick Gable, right, and I'd rather pick Stewart is the reason you said, is that I can see Stewart being confused and overwhelmed and stuff and fight. Gable and people like Bogart, those guys just never they just were secure always on the screen. They in Gone with the Wind, it's a fantastic movie, but Gable, he goes through some hardships in that movie, but he's never not sure of himself, Yeah. He's always sure of himself. But, I guess, what is it? He was in Mutiny and the Bounty, I guess. That's a good example of him being a little unsure of himself. I'm sure Gable could have fucking hit it out of the park. I'm just playing devil's advocate here to you. But I would prefer Stewart, but Gable I'm sure he would nail it out of the park too. As would William Holden. I'm sure he'd do great too.
Gary Cooper, another one.
Gary Cooper. Gary Cooper would be great. Exactly. That's a great example of someone who would be great. It's funny, right? There's a lot of people, when you're thinking of that Jim Garrison role from that era, where you're like, God, they'd be great.
Yeah. So I can definitely, picture all those folks, man. So you're spot on. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. All right. So 2020, if you're recasting the role of Lee Harvey Oswald 2020, who you going with?
Okay.
Now I tell you what, you can't say Robert Pattinson. He's everybody's answer nowadays.
I was gonna go. That was the first thing that came to my head.
Anybody but Pattinson. He's doing the Batman, so he can't do this film. So who you gonna pick?
Can I do someone who is I think could do it, but isn't really proven yet? But I think looks like Oswald maybe, and I do think the guy is quite talented. I hope I'm getting his name right. It's this actor. He was on this. He's a young actor. Probably. How old was Oswald?
He was 20. He was 24 when he got killed.
Okay, so this actor's about 25. His name's Paul Mescal, I think, and he's Irish, and he was in the series Normal People, which was just on Hulu, which was fantastic, and it was just basically based on this book by this Irish author about just a young romance and when you're young and in love, how unsure you are, stuff. But the acting that this guy does, and he he's got that dark hair. You know, he's not as he's a good-looking guy, so you'd have to ugly him up, you know, but a little bit. But he, you know, I think this guy, Paul Mescal, I think it's Mescal. I think that's how he spells his name. This guy's gonna do great things. He is a phenomenal actor. If I could pick, I think I'd pick him, man. I'm telling you, I have so much faith in this kid. I think he's going to do great things.
Well, I'll check him out. I haven't heard of him, but I'll check him out. So I'll definitely take your word for it.
I know that's a weird choice, but
No, it's fine. It's fine.
You know, he's a young guy, and you know, I'm sure if I sat down, Robert Pattinson is another one who I think could do it. You know, he's very versatile, and who would you pick for the Oswald?
For Oswald, I would go with Tom Holland.
That's a good one. Okay, yeah. So there's another example of a guy could probably do it. You know, for sure.
He has just enough of that little weirdness about him. To play a weird character like Oswald,
right.
A clueless,
and
weird,
not perfect looks.
Yeah.
Not perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's a good call.
All right, so we're gonna recast with Tom Holland and Jimmy Stewart.
Tom Holland, Jimmy Stewart.
All right, next topic. Okay, who stole the movie?
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman, you think?
I think so. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I mean, you know, look, he didn't have that. He was that dude, man. It was so impressive to see. He was Oswald.
He's in damn near every scene, but he's not really, but he's in the shadows. I mean, he's looming. His presence is in damn near every scene.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it's like he doesn't have there's not great acting challenges of depth for him in that movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
his presence, his presence is what
His presence, exactly, is just so good, and he's so fucking versatile. And this is fucking 91. You know, man, he was one of the first dudes who was really really showing how versatile him. I mean, Dustin Hoffman before him, of course, is a really versatile guy. Of course, plenty of actors before him were versatile. Oldman is just so good with accents. So when he's not drunk, so good. That's me. So good with accents, just so good at adapting, like Daniel Day-Lewis is at other characters, at picking up different characters, and really, in a lot of his recent work, he just shows that he's just got a lot of depth too. He's just a fantastic actor. I think he made the movie, man. That's what I would say. But it's a toss up, between him and the lead. Costner was solid throughout the whole thing.
Right, and once again, Costner was a straight man, during the whole film. So, he, obviously, once again, he's we're seeing the movie through his eyes. So
that's right.
But in my opinion, because we're seeing the movie through his eyes, the character that stole the film, and he said it himself, "I know David, strange character." Joe Pesci stole the film. I think every scene he's in is memorable. You see him, you see him, and if he's in the scene, you can't take your eyes off of him. I mean, once again,
I'm not gonna argue with that.
Yeah,
can't take your eyes off of him.
Exactly, and that scene, and the scene in the hotel, when they got him in the hotel room or whatever, and he's, "Don't you fucking get it? The shooters don't even know." It's an enigma. It's a riddle. It's wrapped inside of an enigma, inside of a riddle. It's like,
and again, we've said this. I think we already said this, but it's like, it's just so interesting seeing Pesci doing that kind of work. There's not a lot of it.
Yeah.
Like you look at Pesci's, filmography, and there's just not a lot of him going outside his comfort zone like that and nailing it. And he did a good job.
Exactly. So, so just to me, whenever he's on the screen, I perk up, and he perks it up for me. And like I said, because once again, the David Fury character was such a strange looking person. So, like the girl said, he looks like a little buzzer with those eyebrows.
Wait, who says that again? Who's the one who says the prostitute, the dancer, right?
Yeah, Lolita. She says that. Yeah.
Right.
By the way,
she's good actress. She starts laughing. He looks like a little buzzer with his eyebrows.
Exactly. And a quick shout out to Lolita Davidovich. Back then, man, my gosh, she was gorgeous. Sweet Jesus, that was good looking woman.
Oh, good looking.
Oh my
Absolutely.
God. Oh my God. So Lolita, if y'all listening, thank you.
Yes, I agree.
All right. So so what? Who stole the movie? Okay. Next, who overacted?
Well, I'm gonna have to say, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say Pesci. A couple of the scenes, I think Pesci, as entertaining as he was, you'd have to call that overacting.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the stuff he's doing, but there's a fine line between performance that's overacting and a performance that's exhilarating to other people. So it felt like overacting to me, but I can see I wasn't cringing or anything like that. I was just like, this is a little much. It seems like he's a little drunk or something like that. That's what it felt like to me. But, that's just my opinion.
Well, I agree 100%.
Who do you think?
I agree 100%. I think that Joe Pesci stole the movie by overacting. So,
I think that you make a great point, Alonzo. That's a great point.
Yeah, once again, I'm trying to imagine, being on the set with him that day, like, man, oh man, Joe's here today, damn,
Yeah.
It's like, shit, we got, we're going to do 20 takes of this shit, you know what I mean, come on. What's my motivation for being here? Because you got to think about,
He's like, all right, what do I got to do? I got to do this piece. Fuck it, I'm tired. You don't know.
Exactly. So you can imagine like Kevin Costner and Michael Rooker, being on set that day, really, because they didn't really have anything to do but sit there and watch it, Damn it!
For sure.
I got somewhere to be.
For sure.
All right, and our final topic is my fun topic is would you take this movie to Pluto? So if you were going to be banished to Pluto and you can only take 5 movies with you, would JFK be one of those movies?
No. Absolutely not.
No. Why?
I mean, I love so many movies. To be fair to JFK, let me tell you, I hadn't seen it in a long time until I rewatched it recently, and I enjoyed it so much more than I thought I was going to enjoy it revisiting it. I remembered it being so much more pretentious and goofy than it actually was. I really enjoyed it this time much more. That being said, it doesn't make my top, 50 favorite movies of all time or anything like that. It wouldn't be on any of those lists.
Fair enough. Obviously, I've already said it's one of my favorite movies of all time, so I absolutely.
Let me hear your top 5. Let me hear your whole top 5 if you know it.
Yeah, my top 5 as far as going to Pluto, or my top 5 favorite movies.
No, going to Pluto.
Okay, my Pluto movies would be JFK, obviously, because it's long, and if I'm straight on Pluto the rest of my life, I want something that's going to take up a lot of time. It's going to really hold my interest for a number of hours.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, because it's just me on Pluto. That's that's lonely.
Cold as fuck.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Dark. Okay, so I would definitely take JFK. Gone with the Wind would definitely be there. Heat Malcolm
Heat
X.
is fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. Gotta have Heat there. Malcolm X. Oh, I'm picking long movies here. Malcolm X and Pulp Fiction. And I'm good.
That's a good list.
Yeah, I'm good.
And that's that's a good amount of time. You have Heat is a long movie too. Gone with the Wind is a long movie. I mean, between JFK, Heat, and Gone with the Wind, you have about 10 hours there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna need those if I'm stranded on Pluto. So. You know what? One thing I definitely would not do if I was gonna be stranded on Pluto, I would not take porn. I would not take porn with me. That's too.
Which one? What movie?
I would not take porn. Any type of porn.
Oh.
No. That's too much. That's torture, man. That's torture. You know, I can't be on Pluto for the rest of my lifetime, man. Watching somebody else have fun.
I would take a hacksaw and just chop it off. And take care of my problems on Pluto.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So yeah, I can't have that kind of torture, man. So I wouldn't take any.
I hear you.
So what are your 5 that you'll take to Pluto?
Oh, brother. I would have to say Sunset Boulevard.
Good choice. Good choice. Yeah.
One I can watch over and over and over and over, and I laugh sometimes, and I take it seriously sometimes, and then sometimes it makes it's one of those movies that really moves with my personality. It feels, and I would take that. I'd take probably The Wild Bunch is a movie that I can watch over and over and over and over. I might take The Departed. Yes, I know, not one of the greatest movies ever made, or it's not Scorsese's greatest, but like you said, it's long, and it's the kind of movie I can watch from any point and be into, just get excited about it. Departed is funny. It's the first American movie I remember that texting was being used as a
plot device.
Film.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember a movie before that where texting was a plot device. I remember Matt Damon does this pocket text in Departed. It was so great, and so 2006, 2005 with the flip phones and the multiple phones. Number 4, I would take a good comedy. So something like Bananas, Bananas or something like that. Then I take a good gangster movie like maybe Goodfellas or Menace or maybe an older gangster movie like the original Scarface. I'm a big fan of the original Public Enemy. But I like the '90s. I like the Goodfellas and Menace to Society, and those gangster movies made in the '90s too. I'm a big fan of too. So that would be my 5th would have to be a gangster movie. I'm not sure which one.
Okay, since you brought it up, I'm going to go totally off subject here, but since you brought it up, you made me think about something. One of the most disappointing films I've ever seen. I love gangster movies. One of the most disappointing movies I've ever seen, Gangster Squad. I was so excited to see Gangster Squad, man.
Oh yeah.
And I was so disappointed.
Oh yeah. Wait, I'm sorry. That's the one with Sean Penn, right?
Yeah. And Ryan Gosling, yeah.
Yeah.
Josh
I
Brolin.
got through about 20 minutes of it and I turned it off. I can't make a call on it because I didn't finish it, So I don't know, but I really didn't like the beginning, and I just was like, I can't deal with this. I turned it off.
I mean, that film had a star-studded cast, man, and
Oh yeah, they got nothing.
Yeah. And I was expecting, something,
Absolutely.
And I got nothing. And
come on, man. Gosling, Sean Penn. You're talking about
Chris Cooper.
I mean, was Sean Penn playing Bugsy Siegel?
No, he was playing Mickey Cohen.
Mickey Cohen, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, he's playing Mickey Cohen. You got stories and they come up with that crap. So
Yeah.
I didn't finish the movie, so I don't know if I'm at liberty to say, but I was not a fan. But I'll tell you a gangster movie that I think is probably even worse than that, even though I haven't seen that, is Tenth and Wolf. Have you seen that one?
Tenth and Wolf? No.
Yeah.
Who's in that?
Terrible. It's got Dennis Hopper. It plays like the aging old gangster, and then, or maybe he gets rubbed out in the beginning, or he has a small cameo. Then it's James Marsden. Is that the guy's name?
James Marsden?
Cyclops?
Yeah.
Cyclops from X-Men?
Mm-hmm.
He's the main dude, and then it's Giovanni Ribisi is his, like, and that guy who died plays his brother. What's his name? The kid who looked like...
Brad Renfro?
Yes!
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He played his little brother in that movie, and... You know, you can just tell he was so strung out. Renfro, so strung out while shooting that movie. You could see the puffiness in his face from all the drugs. You could just see it. You could see it. That kid was a talented actor. And you see him in this movie, and you're just like, what the fuck is it? It was a movie that was ripping off all other gangster movies and was trying so hard to be cool, and that stuff just makes me cringe, man. It just makes me fucking cringe.
Like mobsters?
Yeah. Like, I mean, there are so many. Actually, Val Kilmer in this movie, Tenth and Wolf.
Oh wow.
Has a small cameo, and it's this role where you're like, why the hell did he just stumble across the set on that day and they just wrote some lines for him? Like, what's he doing here? It's a movie that you should see just because it's funny, you know, because it's so stupid.
Okay, I have to check it out then. Yeah.
Yeah, check it out. Check it out for my list of worst movies. Tenth and Wolf.
Just for nostalgia purposes, if nothing else. I'm a completist, so I got to watch everything anyway. So okay, gotcha. All right, so there you have it. JFK. Like I said, when we first started our conversation, I wasn't going to get too much into the minutia of the investigation and everything, because I encourage my listeners to do their own research and to learn more about the whole JFK assassination, which is a pivotal moment in American history. And just there's so many things that occurred in relation to it. And I'm thankful for a movie like JFK, because I think if you watch it, if you really pay attention to it and you watch it, you can't help but want to learn more about the JFK assassination, which I think is important, you know, just from a historical standpoint.
Absolutely.
So, and like I said before, just one of my favorite films of all time, and I just love talking about it. So, that being said, I want to thank you for taking time out to discuss it with me as well. So, you got any parting shots, man?
Not really. I gotta say, just thank you to you for letting me do this, and also just letting me rewatch it. Like I said, because I enjoyed it so much more watching it now in my late 40s than when I saw it when I was in my early 20s. I appreciated it so much more because of the stuff that we didn't speak about, the minutiae and stuff. You know, because I know more about Kennedy and the assassination. It was just more interesting to watch, and it was also just great seeing that cast again. It was just great seeing women and those people. You know, it gave me I felt a lot of nostalgia watching that. You know.
Yeah, I totally agree, 100% agree. And I'm going to watch it again tonight because now it's on my mind, so I'm going to watch it again tonight. So
you should see, one thing I will say is, do you know that, I shouldn't speak poorly of him because he's passed away, the bitter intellectual Christopher Hitchens was, if you Google him talking about the JFK movie, he always had his own agenda, and you can say, I think he had a lot of anger about Kennedy being praised as this savior of American society, you know? And I hear what he's saying, you know, but if you Google interview, he's just so harsh on the man JFK, who's obviously someone he didn't know. Just something you might enjoy to Google that, to watch him. But he stuck up talking about it. He gives a negative review, but it's you can see it's a lot from his own bias and stuff politically, you know.
Well, you know, JFK, I mean, he was a flawed person. I mean, he wasn't perfect, you know, so, you know.
Hey, my mom went to Harvard in 1962, I think. And she said one of her classmates was banging JFK. I go, how old was she? She goes, she was probably 19 or 20.
Oh, wow.
I was like, 19 or 20. I go, is this when he was president? She goes, maybe right before. And I was like, wow. I was like, what a person. So he was a flawed guy, but who isn't, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, hey, you know,
I enjoyed the movie. Thank you so much for letting me talk about it, and also just recommending me to watch it again. That's really what I wanted to thank you. I really enjoyed revisiting it. I encourage everyone, even people like me, who are listening to this, who remember it and are like, ooh, it was over the top. Watch it again. You're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna enjoy it. There's no question.
That's right. That's why the name of the show is called Watch It Again. So I'm trying to encourage people. So
that's right.
So speaking of Watch It Again, there's a movie I want you to watch. If you've never watched it, I want you to watch it again. Do you recall the movie called Overnight? It's a documentary.
Overnight? I don't think so.
Dude, you gotta watch it. If you haven't seen it, you gotta watch it. And I'm gonna tell you why, real fast.
I thought I was talking about, it's a documentary?
Yes. You remember Boondock Saints?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. Oh, this is about how they ripped off, or how they sabotaged that movie or something?
Dude. Because Troy Duffy is the guy who made Overnight. I guarantee you, if you start watching this, man, you would not be able to look away. It's a train wreck, man.
Okay, you know what? I've heard about this, and now that you're recommending, I'm gonna watch it tonight. I'm gonna watch it tonight or tomorrow. Tonight I might have some things to do, but tomorrow I'm gonna watch it. Overnight.
It's gonna blow you away. The way this guy ruined. It's called Overnight because he basically ruined his career overnight, and you'll see why. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Good.
So I look forward.
I'm a Boondock Saints fan. I gotta be honest, but
you are.
I am not.
I'm not either.
Okay,
it's not. It has nothing to do with the movie. It's about this guy who gets his magnet because he was a bartender. And Harvey Weinstein gives him, he buys the script and basically, he becomes this overnight sensation. Yeah. And then he became such an arrogant asshole overnight. He blew it. He blew the opportunity of a lifetime. So imagine if you're a guy, working in a bar, writing a script and everything, you're struggling and everything, and the biggest producer in Hollywood takes you under his wing, gives you Hollywood on a platter. You become such an asshole overnight. It's so full of yourself that nobody wants to work with you.
Right.
And you lose it all.
I can't imagine anyone being that dumb.
Dude, I'm telling you, you will not believe what you're seeing, and it's actually happening. You would not believe it. You would not believe it, man. How this guy fucked his career. So I'm excited to see what you think about that.
Okay? And I'll message you after I see it.
Please do. I might watch that tonight too. After JFK.
And anytime you would like me to go over another movie with you, I would love to do it, Alonzo. Anytime.
Same here, man. So if there's anything that you want me to watch, let me know and I'll do the same thing. So
Absolutely.
All right. So once again, Gavin, thank you so much for taking the time out. Oh, by the way, for my listeners, you do work in the film industry. You want to tell everybody what you do?
Yes. I have a checkered career in the film industry. I've worked as a paid screenwriter. I'm currently working as a sound technician to make money because it's so hard to make it as a writer these days.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, absolutely. But my passion is for writing, and in 2002 was the first time I, sold anything, and I sold a treatment to Disney. It got bought. I got bumped off of the project immediately after I sold it, and
been there, done that.
David Franzoni replaced me and my partner, and my writing career has kind of been like that. That being said, I've also written and made my own stuff, which I've grown to like more now than right after I had made it. I'm very critical about stuff that I've made. Watching it's tough sometimes for me, but I've had a strange career in Hollywood, but I would consider myself a writer before anything else. I would say.
Well, once again, that's how we met. You and I met at the Writers Guild Awards.
That's right.
So we had
a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. I got lit that night.
We did.
So.
Well, I hope to see you soon, and
absolutely.
hope to talk to you soon, and anything else I can do for you.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much. And once again, to my listeners, make sure you subscribe, sign up for notifications, hit me up on Twitter at WhatLonzoThinks. Also, email me at WhatLonzoThinks@gmail.com. I need subscribers. Please subscribe also, Gavin, if you haven't. So that being said, I appreciate you for taking your time out. And once again, JFK, take my word for it. You're going to want to watch it again.
Watch it again.
Good night.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye.